everyone that I think there's something wrong with the Canadian education system. But in common, we should all have one language that we can communicate together. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is James. Today I want to share a very true story that's showing everyone that I think there's something wrong with the Canadian education system. Okay, so I've been in Canada for over 12 years, and I've been in international education industry for the whole time. And I deal with a lot of international students. Before COVID, there was a lot of Chinese international students. And now, because China is, well, anyways, no politics today. Now we have way less Chinese international students compared to 5 years ago. So today I got a phone call. I had a former high school student. She used to be my high school student, and then now she just finished U of M, University of Manitoba, where I'm working every day. And then she told me she just got her IELTS exam scores back. Her reading is 3. Her writing is 4. Her speaking and listening is 5. So why is she taking these exams? Because right now, Canada new policy for post-grad work permit, if you need a language score, then if you are qualified, you can get your work permit. Then you can find a job, then you can immigrate to Canada. So this qualification is at least 6, IELTS 6. Okay, and this student, she is 3.455. So if you don't know language, if you're Canadian, you probably have no idea. So I'm telling you this, most of the university in Canada, for example, U of T, UBC, U of M, University of Manitoba, or U of W, most of the universities in Canada, they have a language requirement for international students. Every school may be different, but average, most common requirement is IELTS 6.5. Okay, 6.5. So this is the minimum entrance language requirement, 6.5 IELTS. So this student is 3.455. So if we transfer this score to high school level, so her reading definitely is in, I don't know, elementary or even kindergarten level, okay? 3 is very low. If you are very beginning, like my parents, maybe 2. So her reading is just a little bit higher than my parents, probably. So, and then for 4 is like middle school. Okay, middle school level. And then speaking and then listening 5. So usually, so university requires 6.5 because they assume if you are grade 12 student, you should have 6.5. So based on that, 5 is kind of like grade 9 or 10. That's your English level. That's the student's English level. So today we talked for like 10 minutes on the phone. She's asking me what could she do. So I said, well, at this point, I don't think Canada is a good fit for you. And she told me she has a bunch of friends, her school classmates, friends, they're all facing the same problem, but she's one of the worst. Well, not one of the worst. Some of the friends of hers couldn't finish U of M on time because English too bad. They couldn't pass all the courses they need. The people who graduated this year, just like her, most of them getting 5.5, 6. Okay? So why this is the problem? So I have been talking with people in my industry. We're talking about language center owners, like we're talking about those things. Like there are a lot of international students. When they get into university, their score is at least 6.5. Okay. However, when they finish university, their score even dropped. You may be shocked. You say, why? They studied in university for 4 years. Their English should be better. But actually, no. You don't know. A lot of them are lower than they get required. And then there's a big hole of this system is a lot of the universities in Canada, for example, U of T, UBC, or those universities, good ones, they have a policy that if you study in a Canadian high school or any Canadian school for over 3 years, okay, 3 or more years, then when you're going to university, they don't require you to give a language score. You can waive that out. So you don't need a language. So that's why a lot of international students' parents, they send their kids to Canada for grade 10, like grade 10, 11, 12, 3 years, perfect. They don't need IELTS exam. They don't need IELTS score to go into universities. So they are using this hole. So this student who I was talking today, she is one of them. So she came in 2018, okay? I have a phone call recording, but it's all in Chinese, so that's why I'm not sharing here. But if you don't believe me, I have evidence to show you, okay? So she has been here since 2018. 7 years later, her language score is 3455 in IELTS, okay? And then because she studied in one of Winnipeg local high school for 3 years, that's why when she get into U of M, they didn't ask for any language requirement. So, do you think that's right? Okay, I think there's a problem there. So let's forget about education. Okay, let's just say, okay, they need to make money. They need to make some profit. Okay, they just let them in. They make money. And then if they don't pass, they keep studying. They pay more tuition fee. Sure, think of that. This policy, this post-grad work permit requirement for language is new. It's recent year. It's just new policy for about 2 years. Imagine before those 2 years, there are so many thousands of students are in the same situation. Okay, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of them. Okay, and then they don't need any language requirement. They got their work permit, and then they find a job in their own community, like a Chinese people own bubble tea store, or go to a Chinese restaurant, wash dishes, whatever. And then after they work for a certain time, they nominated by provincial nominated program. Then they immigrate to Canada. They got PR, citizen. Eventually, they will settle here, which is okay for the society. However, imagine that. People like that, they have no language skill. How are they gonna melt into the society? That's first thing. And then they were just stuck with their own people. And then the Canadian society will be more and more divided. Chinese hang out with Chinese because of language. The people from, let's say, India, they hang out with Indian people. People from Spanish speaking, they stay with Spanish. Portuguese speaking, they together. And then the whole society will be so much divided. And then there will be problems. Look at the US. The Latinos, they're all like in their own communities. They're like very tight together. And then do they really hang out with locals very well? I don't know. Okay? So this is a problem. I'm worried about this country in the future. Like, I'd like my kids to have a beautiful future to live. Okay? So those people whose language is very poor, they can't even fight with you on the street because they cannot speak English. So there is a war. There was invisible war there. Divided you and him, you and her, you and the international students, the newcomers. And then if people are speaking all different kind of language and then they don't speak, I'm not saying they should forget about their language. They should have their own language. That's fine. That's totally okay. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But in common, we should all have one language that we can communicate together, which is English or French in Canada, right? So you have to at least have some certain level. Otherwise, you live in this country, you have no language skill. How can you make a big impact to this country? I don't know. I really don't know. That's why I'm worried about this. And I want to ask you, if you are a Canadian or American or any other country, yes, we all welcome newcomers. I am a newcomer, okay? I welcome newcomers. I'm proud of those good newcomers, okay? Like, I will stand for them. I will talk for them. But if there's no rules about language, about how you live as a Canadian, this country in the future, I really don't know where this is going to go. Again, one more thing. Singapore, one of my best country in the world. Lee Kuan Yew, years ago, he decided to use English as their one of the official language. At least everybody can speak English. Besides that, you can keep your own, you can speak Tamil, Malay, Chinese, whatever, you can keep that. But English is more universal in Singapore. So people can communicate in the parliaments, in their government. People can always speak English together, right? Singapore is a multi-culture country as well. They have so many immigrations from all over the world, but everybody speaks English so they can communicate. But Canada doesn't have that now. People are so divided. There's so many policies Singapore is applying, is using. It's very good for society, very healthy, I think. And then in Canada, yeah, you live in your own small bubble. You only hang out with your own people. That's totally fine. But is that healthy for the whole country's future? I have a big question mark about that. What do you think about this? Make your comment. Okay, let's talk about that in our comment area. Okay, thank you for watching.